You want to talk about it?
I wouldn't know where to begin.
You can just ramble.
I'm okay.
I love you.
I know. It's just...
What?
Eddie, I mean. He's out there. And I don't know if I'm scared of him or for him.
I know how to control the heat now. Isn't that what you wanted? You will come here.
I'm pretty sure that the easiest way to accurately describe everything that has been going on recently relating to this Venom game is that all of this news is batshit crazy. And no, I am not using that word lightly. But anyways, welcome back, true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans out there, to another very exciting Marvel games related video. And if you managed to watch my most recent video where I did go over a brand new update revolving around this heavily rumored standalone Venom game, this video is pretty much going to be a direct follow-up, where not only did we recently receive essentially breaking news surrounding this Venom game, but we also gained supposed inside information about the game's main story, as well as its potential release date. So if you're still all aboard the Venom game hype train like I am, then definitely be sure to thwip that like button and subscribe to the channel for even more Marvel games videos like this down the line. Now, unlike my previous Venom game video, where we did go over some news from a supposed gaming industry insider who has been correct on an on and off basis, the news that we're going to be talking about in this case does come from one of the most credible and reliable gaming industry sources out there. Whereas all of this information was initially reported by MP first, they do go on to reveal that Marvel's Wolverine remains on track for 2026, as well as a Venom update and story details, where the most important information we receive from our main source is that Wolverine is still on track for a 2026 release, and Venom has been in active development. While we haven't been able to determine how advanced the Venom project is, if we assume Wolverine remains the priority, it's likely that the Venom game is still in pre-production. Now, this is already extremely interesting considering that this pretty much contradicts what we've already been hearing about these titles for the past few weeks, where it was previously teased by other industry insiders that it was going to be this Venom game that was going to launch sometime next year in 2026, and that Wolverine was going to be releasing after that. But if this is to be believed, it seems like that Insomniac's internal development plans have shifted, and they seemingly want to prioritize on the next major Marvel game that they have planned with Wolverine to make sure that that game could be the best experience it could possibly be. But more importantly is that no matter when Wolverine decides to officially release, this is yet again another gaming industry source claiming that this rumored Marvel's Venom game does in fact exist. And buckle up, because this is where the Venom game news starts to go completely off the rails, where there are also some details from the story of Marvel's Venom game that we got from a different source. But since we couldn't verify these, we recommend that you take these tidbits with a grain of salt. One of these would be that Eddie Brock will take the protagonist's role. This might seem obvious to some, given what happened to the last user of the symbiote in Spider-Man 2. Still, it helps us to rule out the possibility of other symbiote users taking the lead, such as Flash Thompson, who was Agent Venom in the comics, or even an original character. We also know that, at least visually, this Eddie Brock will be closer to his comic book counterpart, more so than his live-action rendition played by Tom Hardy in the Venom films. On the topic of characters, the Venom game would also see the return of Cletus Cassidy as Carnage, and additionally, Anti-Venom would be featured, but not the version controlled by Peter Parker. Instead, we would see the more monstrous-looking version from the comics that Eddie Brock eventually uses. As with Peter Parker and his struggle with Venom, Eddie can maintain total control over his persona with Anti-Venom, so this could play a significant role in the story.
Yes. Eddie, what's going on?
I have absolute total control.
Yeah, like I said, this news is crazy. Now, this entire situation is extremely mind-boggling to me. If we are to believe that everything within this report is true, I do have two very different viewpoints about this matter. For one, considering the fact that this rumored Venom game would end up being the very first AAA standalone Venom game ever made, I completely understand the notion of wanting to make Eddie Brock the game's main protagonist, as well as this game's newest version of Venom. Especially considering that if you go all the way back to Spider-Man PS4, we do know that Eddie Brock himself does canonically exist within Insomniac's universe, and that both him and Peter previously worked together in the Daily Bugle, meaning that the two of them already have some history with one another, which we could end up seeing be expanded even further within this Venom game if Eddie himself does end up being the game's main hero. It's just that Insomniac would definitely need to do some explaining as to where exactly Eddie has been within the presence of each of their individual Spider-Man games, as well as what his current connection could be with Peter, alongside of Miles, MJ, and all the other supporting cast that we've met throughout these games. And to reference what the article mentioned about us seeing a much more classic-looking version of Eddie Brock and his portrayal of Venom, we may have actually already seen a glimpse as to what that could look like all the way back in July of 2023, where Marvel's Spider-Man 2 did have its insane Hall H panel, which I for one was personally in attendance for during San Diego Comic-Con, where we not only got the worldwide premiere of the game's official story trailer, but we also got a lot of awesome concept art and behind the scenes looks at a lot of different characters featured within the game. And primarily, we did see this peculiar concept art of Venom in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, rocking a much more classic-looking spider symbol on the chest, which is much more reminiscent of the type of symbol design that we would see on Eddie Brock's portrayal of Venom, compared to what we ended up getting in the final game with Harry's version. So, if Insomniac wanted to update their main visual design for Venom within his own standalone game, they could easily provide their Venom with this much more classic-looking design if they do want to switch the main host from Harry onto Eddie. So all of that is to say, from a logistical standpoint, is that Insomniac could very well end up making this standalone Venom game featuring Eddie Brock rather than the already fully established character that they've set forth with Harry Osborn. But at the same time, and especially coming from me personally as one of the biggest Insomniac Venom defenders out there, is that I honestly think that this would be a huge mistake.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
At this point, spanning across 3 completely different standalone Spider-Man games from Insomniac, they have made it their biggest goal to put their own unique stamp on Spider-Man and all of his respective characters at large. And that for sure is mainly in relation to Harry Osborn as their own interpretation of Venom, who was not only already cemented to becoming the character all the way back during the post-credit scenes of both Spider-Man PS4 and Miles Morales, but the entirety of Marvel's Spider-Man 2's story, specifically with that of the Black Suit arc, as well as the origin of Venom, all directly relates to Harry and his character, who we've already grown to know and like throughout the duration of Spider-Man 2's campaign. Furthermore, if Insomniac does decide to continue the Venom game story with that of Eddie Brock instead of Harry Osborn, which in my opinion would already set up a perfect redemption arc for the character, Harry would then become Venom once again and eventually learn to control the power of the symbiote in order to continue with his mission of healing the world, but in the right way. Whereas if they go along with Eddie, it would pretty much be backpedaling as to what they've already stated about Venom in the past.
It is not Eddie Brock.
Okay.
It is not Eddie Brock.
Okay.
Our goal was to tell an original story, something
Yes.
you haven't seen in the comics or the movies yet. Obviously,
Wow.
we love Venom for a reason.
Yeah.
All those things you love about the character are going to be there, but how the story plays out, who is Venom, you have to play the game to see how it goes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Plus, it would pretty much make every single impactful moment between Peter and Harry once he does become Venom absolutely redundant and insignificant if Eddie turns out to become Venom instead. Especially if you take the time to look back at some of the game's most memorable moments with Harry as Venom.
is suffering because of you.
That's so!
You destroyed our work, hurt our friends.
Let your vengeance feast upon my flesh!
We are not, Harry. We are.
Just give me back my son. We are your son. Look at us. We are healthy, strong. This is what you wanted, isn't it?
Harry! Venom! I know you're here!
You found us.
Yes! I'm here, buddy! I know! Just hang on! I'm coming!
You're here.
I'm here.
Are you finally ready?
Harry, I can't.
Thanks for coming, Pete. We want to show you something. We are healed. Finally free. This is where we became best friends.
Yeah, it is.
And now it's where we become brothers. We know what's best for you, for everyone. We gave you everything you ever wanted, and you threw us away.
I should have been better. I'm so sorry. Give me back my friend!
We are your friend.
Harry! Please!
Let's heal the world, Pete. Together.
Listen, if you want to hear all of my in-depth thoughts as to why I think Insomniac's version of Harry Osborn as Venom is more than a fine adaptation of the character, I've already done a complete hour-and-a-half long documentary breaking down everything about him, which, by the way, was also publicly praised by Insomniac Games themselves. And while I personally love Eddie Brock as a character, who will always remain my personal favorite version of Venom of all time, I genuinely think that the Insomniac universe of Venom only makes sense if the story continues with Harry instead of Eddie. And what's more is that the main actor who already played Harry Osborn in Marvel's Spider-Man 2 of Graham Phillips has already stated that he would love to continue playing Harry within the next game. But if Insomniac does indeed end up going the Eddie Brock route for this rumored Venom game, I sincerely hope that they end up making it make sense within the context of their universe and where the story is going. But to wrap up the article on a high note is that we've also come across some clues that suggest that Insomniac is currently working to include Miguel O'Hara, also known as Spider-Man 2099, in one of their projects. While we don't know if it will be in Venom, it's more likely that this is related to Spider-Man 3. As some may remember, the multiverse was hinted at through a mission in the last game of the series as a tie-in to the Spider-Verse movies, which in all honesty is extremely exciting, but if anything, I don't think this means that we're going to see Miguel as one of the main characters within the Spider-Man 3 game story, but at the very least, I do think that we could see a physical cameo of Miguel O'Hara appear in one of the game's side missions, just like what we saw during the finale of the Spider-Bot mission in Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
And if Miguel comes looking for these, tell him finders keepers.
Wait, who's Miguel?
What the hell was that?
I wish I knew.
And lastly is that based on a business presentation from Sony in June, Wolverine won't be released until at least the start of fiscal year 2026, which begins in April. With this in mind, we can't realistically expect to see Venom anytime soon. However, the fate of the symbiote spin-off remains to be officially confirmed. And to add on to that, if Wolverine does end up releasing sometime next year, the current speculation now is that Marvel's Venom game might end up launching sometime later in the following year of 2027. Just like what we previously saw with Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, it could very well end up becoming a cross-gen game, which could release on both the PlayStation 5 and the inevitable PlayStation 6. Considering how absolutely beautiful every single one of the Insomniac Spider-Man games looks on the PlayStation 5 Pro, I can only imagine what the very first ever made Venom game could look like running in full next gen on a possible PlayStation 6. But again, we're just gonna have to wait and see as to what exactly Insomniac may be hiding up their sleeves. And I, for one, cannot wait. But with all that said, everybody, that's the video I have for all you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. What are all your thoughts on this news relating to the heavily rumored Marvel's Venom game? And if you had to choose the game's main protagonist as Eddie Brock or Harry Osborn, which character would you choose and why? Let me know what you think. Be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy, and for more Marvel Games videos like this in the future. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans, and until next time, peace out.